Hey, I'm Brad McCallum out of Calgary, Alberta.
And I'm Bob Tompkins out of Anderson, South Carolina. And this is the Bob and Brad Show featuring Liz Vaynerchuk Novello.
Hey, welcome back to the Bob and Brad Show. Today, my good friend Bob and I are so excited to be sitting down with Mrs. Liz Novello Vaynerchuk herself. Liz has went on to create a huge social media presence for herself. She is having major success in the real estate industry, and we're going to be talking to her today about how she's came up, where she's finding success, how she's dominating Instagram, and we're just going to get to know the woman herself. So Liz, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're super pumped. We're super pumped because Liz and I are actually speaking at a conference here mid-April. Sorry, I don't mean to exclude you, Bob.
No, it's fine. It's fine. The Dippity Deep Dive,
yes,
hosted by Dippity, is where both of you guys will be speaking. Tyler was nice enough to have me speak last year. But he didn't want me to share the stage with you guys. So, you know, I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm really happy for both of you guys.
I'm thinking next year he'll have all three of us.
Hey, that's what I'm hoping for. It should be, but that conference is full of good stuff, tons of value. So if you're watching this show, you should definitely sign up to attend that and hear what both of these two have to offer.
Yeah, we love our friends over at Dippity, and it's going to be a cool event. It's going to be all about personal branding, a deep dive on how people can, succeed in their businesses, but on the different platforms these days. And speaking of different platforms, Liz, you are creating quite a space for yourself on Instagram. Now, I hate to do it because I know these are somewhat vanity metrics, but you're just about 40,000 followers on Instagram. Is that where you're at now?
You know, I think I don't pay too much attention to the number. I think, somewhere in there. I know that my dad has more. Shout out to my dad, Sasha Vayner. So it's just a competition sometimes.
Yeah.
But something like that, yes.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So what made you choose Instagram as like your platform of choice for your style of sharing?
So it's interesting. I didn't really pick it. It happened a little by accident, or, with a gift. So I started in real estate, and growing up, used to go to open houses with my mom, and she loves interior design. Really, my love and passion for real estate, for homes, for decorating come from my parents. And she used to watch a show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous with Robin Leach. And and he would tour these houses. So when I started, my brother being schooled by, the Gary Vee education, my big brother always talked about social media and how it helps businesses. So I started by just doing a video tour of my listing, and I sent it to my family and I said, what do you think, on the family thread? And so I was hosting an open house, and all of a sudden I kept hearing my phone ping, but I wasn't even sure what was happening. And so I was like, oh, I got a new follower. I thought the video was really amazing. And an hour later, I think I went from 500, something like that, to 15,000 people in an hour. And my brother, Gary, had given me a shout out. And then I couldn't even drive home because my phone, I didn't know how to turn off the notifications, and I needed Waze, and I had to keep swiping. I was driving home from my listing. Anyway, make a long story short, he said, all right, don't F this up, go for it. And so he said, you better put in the work. And from that moment, I realized this is a gift, and I need to take advantage of it.
Yeah. Liz, how long?
So just started putting out content every single day from that point on.
That's amazing. So I want to dive into that a little bit, but just a quick background on yourself.
Sure.
How long have you been in the industry now?
So this is year 4. I always say it really is truly 3 because my first year I was a secret agent. If you
Hmm.
don't know what that is, it's somebody who gets in the business and doesn't really share with anybody that they're in the business. And it came from staying home with my kids for 7 years and kind of losing the confidence or remembering who I truly was. Um, and and I was almost half pregnant, which is impossible. So either you're pregnant or not. And so something pivotal really happened to me that changed that mindset. Tom Ferry, whom I met really like within 72 hours of being in the industry, going to my brother's big event, Agent 2021 in Miami, and meeting Tom Ferry, he literally called me. And I don't get starstruck or anything like that. But when you see Tom Ferry come across your phone, I was driving to my daughter's preschool pickup. I pulled over and he said, "What are you doing?" And we just had a real talk. And from that moment, I realized it was time to either go for it or don't even try because I wasn't doing anything anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That is great. So
I
I've
love
been in
that.
the industry myself. This is just coming up on 4 years as well. Um, I started kind of putting myself out there a little bit fairly early with video, but I was sort of a part-time agent in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't quite trust that what I was going to do for marketing would work. Didn't want to spend money on marketing. I wanted to attract people to me instead of
Sure.
getting in everyone's inboxes or DM them or direct mail, that kind of stuff. But then this last year and a half, 2 years since it really started to kind of catch, what I found for me was the industry notices before your marketplace. Like the industry,
Yes.
they're great canaries for the like in the coal mine, right? Because
Yes.
they started saying, Brad, like this video marketing stuff is really cool. Like that's different. It's fresh, and your market's gonna love it. And you start getting a stage or a microphone almost too early. You're like, well, just guys, back up for a second. Let me see if this
Sure.
works. Like if I actually can convert business, and then the market starts to notice, and then it's just, and that's
Brad,
what
I
happening with you.
I totally feel that. That's exactly, you put it so well.
So
Yeah.
what's your goals now? Is your goal in real estate to have a leadership role in this sort of industry, a voice for a certain type of agent, or is there goals on actual sort of local business success, market takeover, that kind of thing, or all of the above?
So, great question. I've always been a planner. Have been an old soul my whole life. Now that I'm in my 41, I'm actually trying to reverse. I'm like, you know what? I want to be 20 again.
Yeah.
I really want that. But for me, it's really interesting. My overall goal is just to be happy.
Nice.
And I know when I say that, it may sound like a luxury, and I get it. Um, but I think, there was something about turning 40 for me that I realized, I feel so much more wiser. There's a true statement. I'm so sure of myself, and I actually know the real meaning of what I consider life. Um, and for me, it's always what brings me happiness. The minute I don't feel happy, I'm out, because something that I have learned is that I'm capable of things and I'm in control of my life. And so there was a time where I didn't feel that way, maybe being insecure, things like that. Insecure but secure.
Yeah.
But I think now for me, the main goal is just to be happy. So just really finding what that means. So far, it has been connecting with people. I just like, for me, that's my main thing. I love connecting with people. I need people. I love that energy. Um, and it's been so fun being in this industry, connected to people like you too, and other people that are, doing things and finding their own road. I find that very inspirational. And but of course, the competitive nature of my blood that runs through me is super competitive. So sometimes I'm like, I'm going to take over Basking Ridge, and I really have a good mindset of just being patient because I know that I can do it if I want it.
Yeah. I think that's super healthy, because I think in the real estate industry, that mindset is one that's probably actually few and far between. Most people in this industry are always focused on getting the next sale, or, upping their numbers, doubling their sale volume from the year before. And I think if our focus was more on, being satisfied with where we are in life, being happy, that next sale wouldn't matter nearly as much, as long as we're providing what we need to for our family, and providing, the internal need to, do whatever it is we need to do. That's a much more healthy mindset towards the business than feeling like you've always got to one up the competition, or double what you did the year before.
Yeah,
I'm here from so many people.
Yeah, I mean, believe me, I'm competitive, and like, I don't let my kids even beat me in board games. I mean, some people might think that's a bad thing, but they got to earn it. I'm competitive with myself. There are times in the night when I wake up and I'm thinking about, I want to be better than I was last year, but it's all very healthy and competitive within myself. I'm not trying to beat anybody. When I say I want to take over, it's just a moment, and I'll see if that makes me feel good. But it always comes back to my North Star, which is happiness.
Well, I can tell you, Liz, we've had a few people on the show, like a guy like Matt Leonetti and some of our other friends. And these are agents that have kind of came out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden are doing these cool things. And they seem, maybe they're kind of like myself. I started saying yes to everything because I didn't even know who I was. I didn't know if I want to be a podcast host and meet really cool people. Like, I don't care about who even listens so much as who we get to talk to and connect with. That's the exciting thing for me. But the whole idea of it is like, yeah, I guess I'll speak at that conference. Yeah, I'll try this thing. Yes, I'll try that thing. Or yes, I'll try starting a team. I say yes to almost everything until I actually know, because I feel like I'm in my early 40s and I'm just figuring out now, oh yeah, this isn't as joyful for me as this would be. And so it's kind of cool. Like otherwise I feel like I'm making decisions with not all the facts yet. So I need that experience to know, what, maybe this isn't for me. And I'm finding out quickly.
I'm with you.
Market, selling 150 homes a year, it's something I just emotionally push back from. Like the headache, the pain of it all. I just think, I can't manage people like that. I like a close-knit group. I like to have time with my family. And for me, the biggest thing is I know I use real estate as a way to create. Like, I want to create content and create my own little art in my videography and films. That's why I do what I do. And then the homes are the way that I can do it while still paying for my mortgage. So.
It's very clear that being self-aware is something maybe that happens in your early 40s. I don't know. But being self-aware, I think, is so key. Anybody getting into real estate or any type of business, I think it's so important, really sitting down and understanding, why do you want to do it? I think when you love what you do, and I've been really blessed, everything I've ever done, I've loved, from teaching to staying home with my kids for 7 straight years. I think it helps really, and real estate now, I think it really helps be able to give your all, but also have, I guess, the limit of how much you want to do.
For sure. Liz, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing over on Instagram and a new show that you've been working on.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about it. Good Morning, New Jersey. How often do you do it? What's the what's the mission?
Okay, so
and what can our agents that listen to this show learn from what you're doing?
Sure. So I love. I've always had this idea to have a show. even the year before pre-pandemic, it was something that I've always discussed with my brother. I took it from him, a page out of his book where he started Wine Library TV, and that really changed his whole career and life. And so I'm essentially, we brainstormed and we thought about it. And so I love New Jersey. I wanted to spotlight businesses, become the digital mayor of my town. And so I started that very early with lives on Instagram. And then I realized that there's some beautiful content coming from this, and these businesses are getting a little traction, but what if it had a place to live like YouTube? And so I started, I think we're on episode every week. I'm like, what week are we on? Because the real estate world is so busy. I literally think I've worked 3 weeks straight. This is my 3rd week straight. So I'm always like, what week are we on? I think it's episode 7 or 8 that we're doing this Saturday. It's Saturday mornings, generally at 10 a.m. This week it's 10:30 because I have an inspection that I couldn't get any other day. Mm-hmm. And it showcases local businesses in New Jersey. What I hope to bring, people have such a misconception of Jersey altogether. We live in a beautiful state. We're called the Garden State, and most people think of like just the Sopranos music being near like Newark Airport. Just giving a platform to these local businesses and seeing where it goes. I think what it would teach people, or what people are thinking about doing, I think it just shows that I'm trying to take it to the next level. I'm trying to push myself out of my comfort zone. I'm not uncomfortable to host, and I'm not uncomfortable to showcase businesses, but really it's a lot of work behind the scenes that I think a lot of people don't realize, including myself. It's a lot of prep because some of these businesses don't even know how to get on any platform.
Yeah.
And so you're walking them through the steps of just basics, and not everybody is comfortable to be in front of a camera without having detailed notes. And I'm the opposite. Like, I don't know anything. I just show up, and so I'm really thoughtful that not everybody operates that way. So it's been a little more work. But I know that this is the first thing that I've wanted to quit in my life. Besides ballet, when I was 6, I really just wanted the ballet shoes, and my poor immigrant parents paid for classes, and my mom said, this is the only thing you can quit. She's like, I would have bought you about 900 ballet shoes for the price, of this little private ballet school. But I know that it's because it's a little more work, and I'm in a really crazy market right now, and my kids are still not even in full-time school yet. But I know that it has to bring value to people, and I want to be part of that journey.
Yeah. So the quitting part, like the hard part, I know like Bob and I go through this last year. Both Bob and I our businesses have scaled up huge. We've had opportunities to sit down and talk to amazing people, but the challenge is still of just doing like a weekly show for this audience, plus our own business marketing and serving our own clients, and having families and young families too.
Yeah,
I think all 3 of us do.
Yes.
It is. I see a lot of agents will post, this is a new series starting in our market, and then that's it. Or I see one show with one little intro to it, and then I never see it again. And what we've noticed, and what I've noticed, at least in my career, is that none of the magic happens episode 1 or episode 10 or episode 20. For example, I'm big on YouTube. I've been doing it for 3 years. And just a month and a half ago, one video that was 6 months old just all of a sudden went 10,000 views in a day. And then my whole channel kind of blew up for a month. And no one could have told me that that was the moment that I was working towards to get that extra boost from the audience. The only thing that I could do was have this clear mission of that I'm just going to forge forward regardless.
For sure.
how do you keep going when you want to quit, when you don't really know yet that Good Morning New Jersey will be a thing?
I really believe in the show. I really believe in hard work. I really believe in commitment. I know head down and work hard. I've watched it my whole life with my parents and with my siblings. I just believe in it. And I think when you believe in anything, you're able to see past it. I'm so eerie patient for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
I've never been patient, and I'm growing to be super patient. And I also know, recently somebody said, I spoke at Inman Connect, and someone said, how did you get on there? And, I said, well, they asked me. And then after I thought about it, I realized, well, they asked me because I've been putting out content for 3.5 years straight.
Yeah.
Rain or shine, happy or sad, stressed or ecstatic. It doesn't come overnight. It's putting in the work. And not only Good Morning New Jersey, being a full-time mom, being a full-time agent, but also being present and active in my community on Instagram. I've been branching out now on YouTube, a little more on Facebook, TikTok slightly, got to get in there. I hear my brother's voice all the time. It's a lot, but I'm also not fancy. I don't have an intro to my show. I just know that fancy means nothing. Putting in the work is everything. And I think it will be something. I don't know where it'll take me, but I know that anything that I've ever put my mind to, anything that I've ever done, when I put in that hard work, something comes out of it.
Okay. You know what I've figured out? And I think we all kind of agree here, is before you step on stage, on any stage, or you take any sort of chance, there's an assumption that someone along the way must have like christened or knighted the people that get the stage. Like some other power, some authority in the universe says, okay, you know what, Gary V gets to take that stage and have this audience. Tom Ferry gets to coach these agents and have these people, right? That guy, Dustin Brome, gets to have the Massive Agent podcast. What I've realized is that it's there for anyone who takes it. Take your piece, and the market will respond. And the cool thing is that the market might not love first episode one. You might learn from that. The iteration of the 10th or the 15th go, or the year long, or the second year in doing stories or reels or whatever that might be, that's where the magic, I think, starts to happen, because you get to take it.
Well, one of my favorite things that Liz's brother says is when he talks to people from like high school that are like, hey, dude, you're so lucky. Like you live such a lucky life. And he's like, dude, when you were out partying in our 20s, I was stocking shelves in a wine shop. Like I was working my ass off. And that's what people, like you're saying, Brad, they look up at the stage and they're like, oh, somebody put them there. It's like, no, you don't see the 5, 10, 15 years of work that goes into that gets you to that place.
I'm not confused. I've never been confused. My parents immigrated to this country with my older brother, and I was born 6 months later. My dad worked every single day of our lives until I was 10, and he started the summer I turned 10, he started taking Sundays off. But my dad worked a million hours during Christmas time. Forget it. I remember being older and seeing him. As I got older, I would see him at night, but all of my young childhood memories barely have my dad in it. So I'm not confused how a stock boy in a small liquor store in Clark, New Jersey ended up being a partner, then ended up opening another shop. I'm not confused of watching my brother go from stocking shelves, doing the ice, you know, early days starting this Wine Library TV. I'm not confused. And anybody who is, just try it. I've never heard of anybody becoming an overnight success. And, you know, even people saying, Liz, your brother gave you this opportunity on Instagram. He did, but he's not creating my content every day. He's not putting in my work every day. He helps me, but I'm doing it. Yeah. He helps me the same way everybody hears what he talks about. I too, my first year, I only consumed him, and I've always consumed him because I love him so much, and he's always been such a good brother. But I only focused on him and Tom Ferry. I was like really focused, and someone said, you really have to expand. I wasn't willing to expand because I really thought, why wouldn't I listen to the two experts in this industry, and my brother in so many other industries, but like, why would I consume anybody else? These are the people that actually have proven that they know. And you know, Gary recently said to me, go watch Wine Library TV episode 1, episode 5, you know, it's terrible. And I remember it's, again, I think just our humble beginnings, like my computer's propped up on my daughter's crayon, like, box, humongous box. Like I don't have a ring light. You could do it. You don't need a special name. You don't need anything. You just need yourself.
Yeah.
And your phone.
And, well, you know what? It's funny because Bob had a viral video on Facebook with Old Town Realtor, his parody.
That's how we,
awesome video.
That's how we
connected.
Oh, there we
Bob
go.
And yep. Bob and I actually reached out. Sorry to interrupt.
No worries.
Bob, I actually reached out to Bob, and I've never reached out to anybody based on their video. Bob's the only person. And I usually don't get super impressed, but I was like, first of all, my kids were singing that song all so much, right? Mm-hmm. And I just thought, wow, so different, because it's very different from something that I would do. Yeah. And so I just found it so fascinating, and it reminds me that everybody has their own place. Bob is not going to take my video. Bob, you know, I'm not going to take Brad's stuff. We all have a style. This is for anybody who wants it. There's open space for you. Some people are going to be attracted to that insane video. I loved it. I thought it was so different, and I thought it was thinking outside the box. And that's how Bob and I got connected.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great story.
The video keeps paying off for me.
I might have to get on that.
Is that video is like a shout out from Gary V. It's like, it's great. You get a bunch of attention, but now what are you going to do with it? That video is now 2.5 years later, or 2 years later.
It's 2 years old. Yeah.
So 2 years old. Bob's done tons of other content, shows, podcasts, always creating new stuff and pushing himself. And that had that one video went viral, and that was it. It almost means it's a little bit. It's a nice help, but that's it. Well, it's just a snowball downhill.
There's several agents that I've seen that have had like one big music video or like one viral video, and then you never hear from them again. You never see them again, and it's because they think that they're going to ride the coattails of that one piece of success for forever. And it's the everyday content. It's the stuff that you put out every single day. You show up to work and you do what you have to do. That's what produces, you know, the business and the following. And that's what Liz, I mean, honestly, is probably one of the best in the business at, because it's not just that it's not just that your brother's Gary. It's like you practice the shit out of this stuff. Like you go onto your Instagram and it's a post, you know, every day. You're always posting.
I'm heavily into stories. It's what I love. It's my main thing, because I think as I'm getting older, I have very little attention span for other people content as well. So I do real swipe, real fast stories. I find stories is where I get the most traction, because it's the easiest way to really relate and really respond to somebody. So like my big thing when pre-pandemic I was working out, I always come out really red-faced when I work out. And so I was starting to clone hot and sweaty. And so even the studio that I worked at would say hot and sweaty 2019. It was the year. And so,
but as I was saying, Gary just had a huge impact on my life. So when you reached out to me, it was like, oh, this is amazing.
that's so sweet.
Yeah, it was just super cool for me because I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to, it's weird because you do idolize these people, and
Sure.
Gary had such a big impact on my life that I did feel like I knew him, like Brad said.
Yes.
So when you reached out to me, it was like, oh, this is like unbelievable. It brought my world together in a way that
I love it.
Is super special for me. So to have you here on our podcast just means even more to me. So,
oh my goodness, it means a lot to me too, because for me, I'm very lucky that he's my brother, but he really does share so much of himself with everybody. And just watching the growth has been really special for me. A trip that we took to Asia a couple of years ago was incredible. And just seeing that he's an international, helping so many people feels so good.
Mm.
It's a good feeling because he truly deserves it, because that's who he is.
No, I can imagine just being able to see that growth too. I know if my brother were to, grow into that sort of icon, it would be super cool for me to be able to see him do that. So I know that's got to be super special. But Liz, because we lost Brad,
sure,
probably a good point to wrap this up. But we appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I think there's a ton of value here for people. And we just appreciate you for coming on.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
Absolutely. Well, and guys, thank you guys for watching the show. Drop a comment below. And if you want to find Liz, what is the easiest way to find you on social media?
Liz Novello on Instagram. That's where you can find me.
Perfect. Give her a follow, and then be sure to check into the Dippity Deep Dive, where she's going to be on stage with her brother and Brad. I know I'm looking forward to attending that myself, and we'll see you next time on the Bob and Brad Show.
Take care. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Liz. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. So fun. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. I dropped at the end of that discussion, interview, whatever you want to call it, with Liz there. So Bob finished it up. We just wanted to pop back on to tell everyone, hey, thank you so much for tuning in, as always, to the Bob and Brad Show. And how amazing is Liz, Bob? That was a great conversation.
She's phenomenal, and she has good internet connection too. So
yeah,
no, but it was great. Tons of fun to interview her there, and somebody that I really respect in the business. I think she's got a great mindset for real estate and a lot of stuff that people can learn from her. So I hope people took notes there.
Yeah, cool. Hey, listen, we got great guests coming up, season 2 of the Bob and Brad Show. So make sure you subscribe, tell a friend about this episode. And if you made it all the way to the end, what should we tell them to write in the comments, Bobby?
I don't know. I hate that you put me on the spot with this.
I love
every
it.
week. Every week, Brad puts me on the spot. What do we need to put in the comments? I don't know what we need to put in the comments. Put Vaynerchuk in the comments. You're not going to be able to spell that right.
Yeah. Put Vaynerchuk in the comments. All right, cool. Hey, listen, thanks a lot, guys. We'll catch you next time.